Today we're reading a selection from my novella titled Professional Responsibility. Thanks for joining me. When I got home, Matt told me he was going to a Christmas party. He said he was going as Jesus. I told Matt that was in very poor taste, but he'd already got the whole thing together, and it was not negotiable. We often think of Jesus having long, straight hair. Matt's hair was short and curly, but I thought it came together nicely. Matt had on a loincloth and had put some fake blood on his arms and legs, and made black circles in the appropriate places with marker. He had done the crown of thorns with pipe cleaners, and he even had a cross. He had built the thing just that evening with supplies from Home Depot. Matt was good about going to the gym. He was trim and robust. Anyone would be proud to be roommates with this Jesus. After I conceded that, Matt brightened up and said I should come too. I said I didn't have a costume. Matt said a costume could be arranged. I looked out the window. The street was jolly and lit up. I told Matt he was going to be cold, but he had thought of that and had prepared robes for transit. So we went to American Apparel. Inside there were all sorts of red and green tights along with the tube socks and special plain t-shirts. There are going to be a lot of elves, said Matt. You don't want to go elf. No, I'm no elf, I said. You could be a wise man, said Matt. There's nothing very flowing here, I said. A girl asked if we needed help. I asked if she had anything very Christian, and she went away. Then I found them. Deep brown, fuzzy bikini underwear. Those are for a lady, I think, said Matt. Says who? There's no penis flap. Who uses that anyway? No, I think that's indicative. I think you're wrong about that. It doesn't matter anyway, so long as they fit. I didn't have any flowing robes, so I put on some very long wool socks. You're going to be cold, said Matt. I have a coat, I said. It was an adult-type party with a lot of hard alcohol and very little beer. I put some gin in a plastic cup and gave it to Matt. This is awful, he said. I like gin, I said. Nobody drinks gin, said Matt. We looked around the room. There were about 5 or 6 other Jesuses. Some of them were better than Matt. He looked sad. You should fight the other Jesuses, I said, but Matt looked away from me. There weren't any other John the Baptists. It was dark. There were fat green and red bulbs lining the ceiling. Someone had put Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time on loop. I heard a female voice say, he might as well be naked, but I didn't know if it was directed at Matt or me, or whether she meant to be friendly. In the middle of the room was the crappiest Christmas tree I had ever seen. It stood on 2 crossing planks of wood, as I had only seen in cartoons. A female devil was standing next to me. That's the shittiest Christmas tree I've ever seen, I said. I think it's nice, said the she-devil. I guess so. I said my name, and then she said hers, but I didn't hear it. Are you another Jesus? No, I'm John the Baptist. You look like a Jesus who hasn't been crucified. No, I said, you see, John the Baptist wore this very type of underwear. She looked at me. I eat only locusts and wild honey, I explained. Then a man-devil came and touched her on the shoulder. They spoke for a moment. Then he did a snaky devil dance a few feet away. Do you dance with the devil in the pale moonlight, I asked. What? What's upstairs? I don't know. Want to find out? Sure. Get behind me, Satan, I said. We walked to the front of the apartment. It was just a single flat. There weren't any stairs. There aren't any stairs, said the she-devil. I think we have to go into the hall, I said. What? She said. Come on, it's a hall party. Out in the hall it was bright and silent. Nobody was telling me that they were simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Here they are, I said. The stairs led up to a rooftop. You're going to be very cold, said the she-devil. Well, maybe, I said. Then I took the marijuana cigarette out of my underpants. I'd done one up in the clear cellulose paper. I'm not smoking that with you, she said. Do you have a lighter? She didn't have one, but that was okay. I'd also put a book of matches in there. I'm not smoking that. Why not? I said. She just looked at me. Look, I said. The plastic seals it in. It's totally safe. We opened the door and ran outside. The cold was a lot worse than I'd anticipated. I lit it and inhaled and passed it over. Then she inhaled and we both ran back inside. That was really hard, I said. I told you. It's fun, though. It's a good game, but you might get frostbite. We did it again. That was awful, she said. I said. The she-devil suggested we prop open the door and blow the smoke outside. We did that, but I was still cold. My skin is cold, I said, and yours is warm. Hey, she said, your skin is cold. I know, I said. Hey, what's your name again? She said it was Elizabeth. We stayed in the stairwell for a while. Then some people came by to use the stairwell, and Elizabeth straightened up. Oh shit, she said. Then she made introductions. Mark's my brother, she said. But Mark already knew me because he was a mid-level associate at the firm. Jesus, in the stairwell? He asked. No, I explained. I'm John the... But my costume had shifted. How do you know these people? I asked. That's my apartment, said Mark. Mark looked at his sister. Is that pot? He asked. Then the she-devil got very angry, and she and Mark shared some words. Oh shit, I said. I'd better get my coat. I'm cold. The other people behind Mark had not used the stairs, but were waiting for Mark and the she-devil to reach some kind of consensus. I walked by them. Anna was in the back of the group, looking away from me. I thought to say hello, but instead decided what I really needed was my coat. If Anna was wearing any sort of Christmas-themed costume, it wasn't apparent. And that was just like Anna, I decided, to go to a Christmas-themed party and not wear a costume. There were a few Jesuses still in the mix, but none were my roommate. I walked around the tree looking for him. Everyone else was moving too, just slower than me, all of us counterclockwise. The entire party was a giant wheel of people walking around a Christmas tree. Everyone was doing it, all in the same direction. Though most of them probably weren't going that way on purpose. I wondered if they realized it. Maybe that's what it was like at an auto da fe, but maybe it was just the nails and fake blood making me think of that. I sat on a couch for a while and looked at the people. After a few more turns, I was certain that Matt was not in the party. I had some money in my underpants, but I hadn't thought to fit any keys down there. I had relied on Matt for keys. The crowd had thinned and the music was softer. People were sitting. So I went outside, back to the stairwell. It was empty. No Elizabeth, she-devil, or Anna, or anybody's brother. I went down to the street and got a cab back to my building. You needed a key just to get in the entryway, but there was also an old buzzer system. I pushed the little button for our number. Nothing happened. But it was a crappy buzzer system, and maybe Matt hadn't heard it. I pushed it again, and nothing happened again. I had met one set of neighbors, but I wasn't sure which button was theirs. So I pushed a bunch of buttons. Finally, somebody answered. Hello, I said, and said my name. Then I told them the apartment that I lived in, that I didn't have my keys. How do I know it's you? She said. But why would I pretend to be somebody else? How'd you lose your keys? I didn't lose them, I left them. Why won't your roommate let you in? I don't know, maybe he's not in there. I heard giggling. I don't know. Listen, if you want to come down here and look at the costume I'm wearing, you'll see that nobody would wear this if they were trying to sneak into an apartment building where they didn't live. If you come down and look at this, you'll know that I'm telling the truth. So if you want to come down and you think that's any safer, I'll be right here freezing my ass off. I heard the buzzer go off and I pulled the door open and went inside. The heat was immediate relief. I went upstairs to my apartment and banged on the door for about 15 minutes. Then I went over to the neighbors I'd met before. I paused for a second. I didn't even know what time it was. I knocked a few times. Nobody answered. I walked over to the laundry room. It was just in a little corner on the same floor I was on. Just one little step down. I had some clothes in the dryer, so I took them out and spread them on the floor. Then I remembered I was naked. I took off my coat and put on some of the clothes and rearranged them to fill in the missing places. Then I looked around for a light switch. I couldn't find one, so I lay down on my clothes, pulled my coat over me, and buried my face in my arms. I don't know how much time passed until I felt Matt pulling at my shoulder. "Wake up," he was saying, "wake up." "What time is it?" 8:30. Matt was dressed for work. "Why'd you sleep out here?" he asked. "You didn't answer the door." "I didn't hear you." "You should have knocked louder." I knocked very loud. I got up and pushed the clothes together. I couldn't decide what to do with them. Putting them back in the dryer seemed to make the most sense. "You know how I sleep," said Matt. "I'm sorry. When did you leave the party?" "Very late." "I couldn't find you," said Matt. "I got tired." "It's my fault," I said. "Hey," said Matt. "I think that's my sock." "Oh yeah," I said. "I washed it for you." "Thanks," said Matt. "I'm afraid I'll need to wash it again, though." That was Professional Responsibility. It's available on Amazon and at other fine book dealers. Thank you for joining me today.